Hello and welcome to the HQ Movie Review Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Jack.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Heather.
And this week we watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Did we?
We watched something.
Did we?
All right,
This
good.
isn't Indiana Jones. This is Illinois Jim.
It certainly was a crazy adventure.
It was more like a string of events.
This movie felt like a fever dream.
Yeah, so it starts off in the middle of like some other adventure where he's trying to get this diamond thing, which just, by the way, it's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
gets
not
swept
much,
up in the
it's
ice. It's gone.
Okay, hold on. Before we get into that, we just launched right in.
Yeah.
That's the fastest we've ever gotten into a movie. Right at the top, I want to say that I have never seen this movie before.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, never?
Nope.
I've never seen
Damn.
the only Indiana Jones movie I have seen before this podcast was The Crystal Skull.
That's the
unfortunate.
worst.
I know.
It's
but
not that bad.
It's the only one I've seen. So when we did Indiana Jones, like the first one, I was like, oh, I know nothing of like what the actual like other movies are, and then I had no idea what to expect for this one, because like I had seen clips and like scenes from the first one, so I was like, oh, this is a thing. This one, I've never seen anything for this one. I've never heard of people talking about this movie. I was just like, I have no idea. All I know is that when we watched the first one, we watched the first 17 seconds of this one, thinking it was the first movie.
Well, we watched the first 17 seconds being very confused because none of us could remember it. Yeah, this is the only one I haven't seen up until now.
No, I've seen all of them.
Congrats.
Yeah, no, I definitely hadn't seen this one. The only thing I knew about it was the Kalima one.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Heather, had you seen the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, that's mostly stuff from
Yeah,
the first movie.
it's mostly stuff
anyway.
from the first movie, but like,
No.
just curious.
Hmm.
It's good.
It's a Disney, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, you have to remember, in the past, I don't know, 15 years or so, I've only been to Hollywood Studios once.
I did not know that.
Up until like 2 years ago, I hadn't been to Disney since I was like 5.
And then the last 2 years happened.
And then the last 2 years happened.
So, like, right at the top, we have that wild opening in the middle of another adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just started this movie at the end of like what would have been a different movie.
I'm actually I kind of wish we could have seen that, because that's,
Yeah.
like, he found the remains of, like, the first emperor of some dynasty or something. He's trading them for a diamond. He gets poisoned. Lao Shi laughs
Yeah.
through every single one of his lines.
Yeah.
This man cannot stop laughing. I thought he took the poison, and it was some kind of laughing gas, like liquid laughing gas or something. This dude was just giggling.
Yeah, and yeah. So it just starts off with this random adventure where it means nothing because he doesn't get the diamond, and he only takes what was her name, Willie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He only takes Willie because she just decided that she was gonna shove the antidote down her shirt, and that was the only reason that she went on this whole adventure with him.
I really like her introduction to this movie. She, like, it's the weirdest set of circumstances. She shows up as just a person who is singing at this club where he's making this like handoff. Like, he has a whole sidekick who dies in this opening.
Yeah.
That guy
The
shows
waiter
up
guy.
just to die. Like, but Willie shows up. She's just a singer in this club. After she's done singing her intro song, which is like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and has no context at all, she sings her song. Indy shows up to like make his meeting, and then she's like, "Oh, hey, owner of the club, are you gonna introduce me to your friend?" And then after that, she's a hostage that Indy takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Indy's hostage, not the villain. Nah. She's the hero's hostage.
And then after that chaos breaks out, she takes the antidote for the poison that he just drank and like stuffs it down her shirt for no reason.
Well, it's also like she's only been searching for the diamond that whole time.
She's got diamond fever
Yeah.
for some reason.
Ruby madness.
Ruby madness.
Is that what
That's
am
a
I
Jimmy Neutron reference.
Oh
okay.
boy.
Oh boy.
Not going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So anyway, he ends up like taking her hostage again because she has the antidote, and they just jump out the window.
They jump out of the window. They land in a car being driven by a child.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he's like, but it's Short Round, Dr. Jones's friend who we've never seen before, but they're good friends, and he's driving a car. He stole I don't know where he stole the car from. It's chaos. This movie is just chaos.
Do we know that he stole the car?
Where would this
Maybe
9-year-old
Indy got the car for him and
Yeah,
planned
and he
it all
just
out.
decided to buy a car there.
He rented a car.
Well, then he owes a lot of money in damages because he destroyed the roof.
He has money. He's a professor.
He's a tenured professor.
Yeah.
Before we get too far from the beginning of this movie, I think it's interesting that they decided to make this a prequel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which makes it even funnier that neither of the two sidekicks come back ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And according to IMDb, the reason George Lucas did that is because he didn't want Nazis to be the villain 2 movies in a row. And I'm like, why not?
Okay, so are you telling me that anything that happens after the events of the first movie, the villains have to be Nazis?
Well, timeline-wise.
Yeah, timeline-wise, the first movie and then the third movie are next to each other. And the villain of both of those movies is Nazis.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but you can have an adventure that's outside of zombies being the villain. Or not.
Zombies?
Sorry.
Yeah, Nazi zombies.
All right, bud.
This is the second time today, Josh.
Look, when I think Nazis, I think zombies.
Why?
Why?
Because of Nazi zombies.
Where did that come from?
That was one
Call of Duty.
FPS, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. The video game I didn't play growing up.
See, if you'd played Wolfenstein, you would have thought Nazi werewolves.
It's true. But I didn't. Anyway.
Jeez.
All right. I don't even know where I was going
So
anymore.
Indiana Jones
So,
is fighting
yeah.
zombies. 2 movies in a row.
Dang.
It's also interesting that both of those movies involve Christian iconography. Like the items are the Ark of the Covenant, and the Holy Grail.
Dang,
You want to get a good read on that?
Yeah, I had a good read, and you fuckers started laughing.
Dang. None of us can talk today.
I don't know what you're talking about. You and I haven't slipped up yet.
Yet.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sure, okay.
Yet.
So the 2 artifacts from those movies are the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that those 2 things get linked with Nazis both times.
I think that this whole world that they've built between just these 3 movies is interesting because they've confirmed that the Christian God exists just with Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they confirm that Hindu gods exist.
Yeah. Also,
it's Marvel Comics. All of the pantheons are real.
see, I was gonna say Rick Riordan.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
All of them are real.
They just don't talk to each other.
And then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is just yeah,
Aliens.
some aliens, you know?
It's weird, and also according to this movie, it implies that that there's the Christian God and there's the Hebrew God, which is weird because they're supposed to be the same God.
They're the same?
Yeah.
But the villain in this movie specifically calls out the Christian God and the Hebrew God as separate entities, which is real interesting.
Well, I guess if you go by that metric, then you could say that the Ark of the Covenant is the Hebrew God, and then the Holy Grail is the Christian God. So I mean, if you were really trying, I think maybe you could separate this into each one has a different like deity at the center, but it's a stretch.
I mean, I'll be honest, I normally associate the Holy Grail with like Arthurian legend and like not religion.
Right, but it's holy because of the Jesus blood.
I mean, yeah, but
Holy is literally in its name.
I know. I'll be honest, I don't really know like the like legend around the Holy Grail other than that it's from Arthurian legend.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, I don't know.
We'll get there when we get there.
Well, you see, there's these great magic wars.
No, you stop that.
It's the key to unlocking true magic and not just magecraft.
We don't have time for this.
Oh, go watch Fate. Don't actually.
Don't.
Don't do it.
It's always
Don't-
anime with you, too.
Don't put yourself through that hell that is watching Fate because you'll get confused and you won't want to watch it anymore.
So anyway, they board Lao Shi's plane.
Yeah, so they board a plane.
They board
a plane.
It is his
right?
plane. His name is on the plane.
Well, I know, but they board a plane, right? And then the doors close, and it's like, this is the villain's plane.
Yeah. Which also doesn't really factor in because the plane they crash in is not the same plane. They
What?
made several, like
They made a stop.
they made like 2 stops. Like the plane they get in has 3 propellers. The plane that crashes only has 2.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't actually notice
I
that.
also did not notice that.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny because like they get in, they close the door, they reveal it's Lao Shi's plane, and then they get in like a different plane. Like they make a stop somewhere, they transfer planes, then they start flying again, and then the trap springs.
I mean, when they have the like iconic Indiana Jones red line across the map thing, they do like stop in a city and then turn and go off in a different angle.
Huh.
So,
Well, I mean, it could still be like the whole airline is owned by
I mean,
Shi
yeah.
and-
Yeah, it's just
they're transporting the same cargo in the second plane. So
yeah, the cargo didn't even move. It's stacked in the exact same way
yeah.
They're consistent.
with their chickens.
Oh, that
But yeah,
poultry.
it's just like, how convenient. And then you never hear from that villain again.
Yeah,
like
he
he's
never
just
comes
gone.
back. Like, I'll be honest, through the movie, I was like, hey, I wonder if, that guy's gonna come back.
No,
No?
no.
All right,
It was
well-
just the setup to cause the party of 3 to be together and find the actual start of the story.
I mean, I assume that he assumed that they died in the plane crash over the mountains. Also, you wanted me to bring up that there was a lever to dump all the fuel.
yes,
Yes.
So
You specifically asked
I
me
was
to make this note.
I was confused as to why there would just be a specific leather with.
Leather?
Damn it!
Ah!
Yet!
You see, the issue now is that I have to leave in all of the mess ups so that this joke makes sense.
I specifically was confused why there would be a lever that was specifically labeled fuel dump.
So, that actually it's actually a real thing, that they need to have the ability to dump their fuel. And the reason for that is planes require a lot of fuel, and fuel weighs a lot. So when you're taking off and you have a full tank, your plane weighs a lot more, right? And when they calculate how far it takes you to stop, they anticipate you having a nearly empty tank and being much lighter. So in the event of an emergency landing, or you have to stop sooner than you think, or for whatever reason, you need to have the ability to dump the fuel out so that you don't weigh as much when you need to make an emergency landing. So, and if you dump it high enough, then you don't cause issues with because you kind of vaporize it as it goes
Gasoline
out.
landing
Yeah.
on people.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as you do it high enough, you can it just vaporizes as it goes. Also, it helps reduce the risk of as big of a fire if you have to make a crash landing.
Which they did.
Yeah,
Very
and
fun
then
explosion effect.
Yeah.
and then it makes the silliest explosion effect,
Boop.
of which there is no debris left.
Listen, this movie was made in the 80s,
Was it 80s?
1984.
Yeah.
According to
I'm gonna be real
Amazon
honest.
Prime, it says 2021.
It does.
I don't think that's accurate.
This is definitely was a 2021 movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember the promotions.
The compositing is so bad.
It's so bad.
There's
just,
some like birdemic levels of compositing in here.
Yeah.
it's just no, it's batdemic. It's all bats.
Yeah, no, they get to the temple, and it's just like bats 24/7.
It's just only bats in the middle of the day. It's just
The sky is
specifically
full of bats.
specifically giant vampire bats.
Which I love. I love the sound effects that they picked for these bats. It's just
That's good audio.
That hurt. Josh, that was so loud. Why would you do that straight into the mic?
So I want to, before we get too far away, I do want to go over my next few notes. After dump all the fuel is, what the fuck is Short Round's deal? That's just the whole note.
Yeah,
What's
like,
his
what-
deal?
Where are his parents?
They do
Hold
go
on.
over that later, but like,
what
At
the
this-
fuck? What the fuck is Short Round as a name?
It's his
yeah,
name.
that's a good point. They never go into that.
It's just
At
his
least
name.
Willie's name for him is Shorty. But why did he call him Short Round? He's not.
He's not round. He's short.
not round.
He's not round. But also, why Short Round as a name?
Yeah,
Even
it's
if-
also a
even
mouthful.
if he was short and round, it's not a good name.
Man, you know, who knows? Maybe he picked the name. Maybe he thought it sounded cool. He's a kid.
It's like when Americans get like Japanese tattoos and they don't know what it means. He heard the English word short round. He's like, that's pretty good. I'll use that. And then he started learning English and he's like, well, it's stuck.
I've made a mistake, but I cannot unmake the mistake.
And then my next note after that is, what's the plot? We're going to a palace? What happened to the
Yeah.
diamond?
Yeah, the plot is weird.
There is
Like-
no plot.
Like the plot is they crash land in the snowy mountains and then somehow land on their boat in like the rainforest of India.
Now-
They fell all the way down the mountain.
Josh, is it a boat or a ship?
That is a dinghy.
It's a raft. It's actually a raft?
The same thing.
I think that's
Dinghy
actually
isn't-
debatable.
Dinghy is, I think, is inflatable raft.
I don't know. It's a raft.
I mean, you lied to us last time about this. so-
I'm pretty sure a dinghy actually has a definition.
See, I thought a dinghy was like specifically like a wooden boat. But I don't know. I'm not a boat person.
I don't think dinghies are wooden at all. I just typed dingy into Google.
We're having a great time, folks.
But no, like this movie is really just like a sequence of events that sort
Yeah.
of tie together at the end.
Just kind of.
Like
This movie is just circumstances that the characters find themselves in and just have to like go through.
it's a D&D campaign that didn't have a good plot hook.
Campaign.
I'm going to edit this episode down to 5 minutes.
So dinghies are just a
Wait, no, we gotta give Jack. Jack's gotta get that line right.
Okay.
No, we're just going to keep going. That's the theme of this one. No one can talk.
This is completely unedited.
So the dinghy, it's actually just it's a type of small boat, usually carried or towed by a larger vessel, for use as a tender. So they're usually like rowboats or even sailboats, or sometimes they have an outboard motor. The ones that I'm used to seeing also fall under this category of like the inflatable like
Like a
pontoon. Yeah. Which is why I was thinking like the inflatable, but dinghy just refers to just a small boat, usually just as part of a bigger boat to be able to get in and out.
Huh.
But yeah, so they use a raft. They end up in the rainforest that's apparently like, I don't know, 3 steps away from the Himalayan
They
mountains.
fell a
Explained
really
this.
long distance.
I explained this during the movie, Josh.
Uh-huh.
the mountains,
Yeah.
the Himalayan mountains,
Uh-huh.
which are in India,
Uh-huh.
they're tall.
Yeah.
Tall mountains gonna have
Uh-huh.
snow at the top.
Yeah.
India is like a tropical climate area.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna be covered in snow.
Yeah. Except my only problem with that is in the scenes where they're in the mountains, you can't see any like foresty areas that aren't covered in snow, and in the foresty areas that aren't covered in snow, you can't see any mountains with snow on them.
All right, look, you know how bad they are at compositing. You think they had time to try and figure that out?
Like, for all we know, they could have just been like, oh yeah, they're just in the mountains. We need them to be here. So they're just gonna
teleported.
teleport. Yeah, at least I can offer a semblance of sense behind how that happened. When who knows, maybe they just went, screw it, they're in India.
Like, honestly, I was like, man, did they just like take this raft all the way to South America? And then they met a bunch of natives that were definitely not South Americans. But yeah, so that's where the story starts.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. But, like, this really is just, like, a series of events. Like, they're doing a thing in China. They leave China. Their plane crashes in India. They're like, okay, we need to get to Delhi so we can get to an airport so we can get back to my university. And then while they're in some village, the village is like, no, actually, you're going to this temple to solve, like, our thing.
Because we prayed
I
to our god.
Got it. This movie is a D&D campaign.
Oh my
I'm gonna hit
god.
you. I'm gonna hit you with something.
It is, though. It explains the chaos.
God, I wish I had thought of that and then said it.
Maybe
Did you
perhaps
say D&D?
while Josh was looking up what a
absolutely said
dinghy
it.
was.
Did you?
Yes,
Yes.
because I then said complain because
Oh, I'm sorry. I checked
And
out
then
because
you
I was looking for
explained to us what a
dinghies.
dinghy was.
Man,
Josh.
if your whole thing about dinghies was funny, I think it would have been worth it.
I'm sorry. I needed to know because apparently I'm the boat lore master around here. I am sorry, Jack. I didn't hear you.
I kind of want to make this into a D&D campaign just to see how people would react to like how crazy it is.
But see, I feel like at this point we wouldn't be able to get away with writing like that.
No.
The standard's too high.
See, but you wait until the very end of the campaign to tell them that it's literally just Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
But yeah, the whole movie was like, just, the writing was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like they had a whole bunch of storyboard ideas that they just kind of went, oh, we want to do this and this and this. How do we connect that? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No.
We'll figure it out.
They walk from one place to another place. That's it.
One of the interesting things I read on IMDb, the village leader that they talked to did not know a single word of English. He is just phonetically repeating what Steven Spielberg said to him off camera.
I 100% believe that.
I also believe that. Yes.
Like,
That's hilarious.
Steven Spielberg would say the line, he would immediately try to say it back, and they had to just get good takes from there.
Good.
Yeah, this movie also has, I think, the weakest acting of the trilogy.
I'd agree with
Yeah.
that.
Like, a lot of it is just like, yeah, we have, like, a foreign actor who might not know the language, and we're just gonna have them say things. Also, like, no offense to Short Round, it's not his best performance, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
He just says a lot of things. He just, like, sometimes he will deliver lines. Most of the time, he's just saying stuff.
It's not my fault. It's her fault.
Like,
You
Also-
didn't need to talk.
nah, not really. Also, I'm not sure if it is offensive, but it feels like it is. His dialogue. It's, like, I don't... it makes me uncomfy.
There were a lot of things that didn't age
Yeah.
well in this.
Yeah.
A lot. So many.
As with most movies from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tron's good. We should watch Tron. Not a lot of offensive stuff in Tron.
It's because they're trying to be futuristic.
And you know what? I think they got pretty close. They didn't exactly succeed, but they got pretty close.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on the roller coaster to open.
Oh man, it's gonna be great.
I'm still waiting on Tron Uprising to come back for another season.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever seen Tron.
Any of them?
The movie or the show?
You've shown me some of the show where they have ridiculous proportions.
Just the longest.
It's
It's
One
a-
Piece.
Listen, it's an art style choice.
I don't think
I
I've
couldn't
seen the
get
movie.
over it.
Yeah, no, I
The,
don't.
the
Art.
random people that look like the human versions of themselves, like the actors, just like they don't fit with everyone else.
Yeah, I can't argue
Yeah,
that one.
that's fair.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
No, but have fun waiting. For a while.
It's forever, I know. Yeah. It's not coming back.
It's not coming back.
So Indiana Jones.
Is coming back.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the whole dinner scene is kind of wild on
Yeah.
several fronts.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's really two scenes.
It was just chaos.
it's probably very inaccurate as well.
probably. But
There
like,
was implied cannibalism.
Yeah.
So Indy is having a conversation with the Sultan's guy. I don't remember his title. The guy who greets them at the palace. So they're talking. Also, like, this British army guy is there because, you know, imperialism. And they're talking about, like, the evil cult stole a rock from a village. And he's like, hey, stop talking about that, please.
I'm sorry, Sultan. It's the Maharaja.
Yes, yeah, that.
Look, I took a South Asian history class. I know. It's not the same thing.
Well, I mean, if you don't use it here, you're never going to use it, are you?
That was rough.
Man, fuck
Yikes.
you, Jack. Fuck you,
Coming in
Jack.
with them daggers.
Dang.
Didn't realize I was gonna have to clean up a murder tonight.
I'm sorry.
That was just cruel.
So-
like, at least mine was, like, poking fun. That was just mean.
I was,
Dang.
it was like ripping your heart out and yelling Kali Ma.
That's the kind of energy this movie brings.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pure chaos. Like having like a very serious discussion at the same time as just the other main character just freaking out about
Yeah.
all the different foods.
I swear, all this woman says is, "Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Yeah,
Yeah, basically.
that is
Yeah.
that is like
It's like-
75% of her lines.
Willie spends the entire movie fainting, complaining, or having slapstick comedy.
Look, all I'm saying is it isn't almost entirely her fault that she's in this situation.
Also, you forgot being sexually harassed.
Also
yes,
that,
yeah.
yes.
Which actually does lead into my next note.
Oof.
Well, it's... well, no, because my note is just that Indy must, quote-unquote, check in with female companions a lot on these adventures. Because he's like, I'm going to go check on Willie. And Short Round's like, that better be all you're doing. Like, Short Round is like 9 years old, and he knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like this really awkward scene where like both of them are like, they're gonna come over to my room. And like they're both getting ready. He's like, no, stop.
Yeah,
Get some help.
this...
They're
This-
both too proud to fuck.
Yeah, but also this comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She spent the entire movie being like, why did you drag me along with you? I hate you. I hate the situation I'm in.
No,
Everything
now
sucks.
her very first line, though, in the movie after her song is, "Aren't you gonna introduce me?"
Yes, before she was held hostage and then kidnapped.
Yes.
After that,
So she thought he was physically attractive, and then he kidnapped her.
yes, it's 80s Harrison Ford. My point being, after that, he held her hostage and then kidnapped her, and then their plane crashed, and she's just been having an awful time, and she also hates him for all of, like, Also, his whole personality.
Yeah.
They don't get along, these two. It's
Yeah.
wild that halfway through the movie, she's suddenly like, you brought me fruit? Clearly we must mate.
The way she ate that apple was just
Oh, that was so weird.
It really was.
like
What was the direction for that?
it was supposed to be just that like, oh, she's so hungry because she didn't eat dinner because it was just bugs and monkey brains
And eyeball soup.
and human eyeballs. But like,
and snakes.
she
Don't forget the snakes.
yeah,
snakes
can't
within
forget the
snakes.
but like Indy took a bite of that apple and then she just runs up and starts eating it out of his hand.
Yeah. Like, right. I understand you're probably hungry, but you're not like starving for like 4 days hungry.
She just wanted to look like an asshole in this scene.
But Andy had to do it first.
Because he's also an asshole. Had to establish that they're both just jerks.
Yeah. Then you have the scene after that where they're in their own rooms, and then there's just like this assassin who's just standing in the corner.
To be fair, he did blend in with like the paintings of other men in turbans. So when he stepped out, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty neat.
It's funny because I saw him the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't like actually blending in, but like if you weren't paying attention, it's just like there's some dudes painted in the background, and then he moves like it's a guy. The other guys don't look like people; they're paintings. They're
Yeah.
very stylized paintings, but still, it was a nice touch, I think.
It was just funny to me because I was like, they showed in the background, I'm just like, there's a guy standing there, and then he's just kind of standing there. And then there's like the music cue of like the ring with the strings, and he just like steps forward. I'm just like, really? That's it?
I do also just one of my favorite moments while watching the movie was right when like Indiana Jones and Willie were like, you know, having like their back and forth. And then Brandon just spills a drink, but then you paused it, but no one was looking at the screen. And as Brandon's cleaning up this drink, we turn and it's just them kissing. And Jack's like, we turn around for 2 seconds and they're making out.
It must be how Short Round feels all the time.
Like they were having this argument thing, or they're just spat, whatever.
They were full on arguing. We paused. We looked back at the screen and they're kissing. I'm like, how much did we miss?
It was like actually 2 seconds. It just went from 0 to 100 like that.
It really is the magic of 80s filmmaking where you have like a leading man and a leading woman, so they must be in love.
Yeah.
We don't need chemistry. We have two people of opposite genders.
That's all you need.
So anyway, the assassin really does just kind of come out of nowhere, try to kill him,
Yeah.
hang himself like how badly did you read the instructions that you ended up hanging yourself from the ceiling fan?
Also, why was his only weapon just like a piece of string to strangle him with?
It wasn't even wire. It was actually string.
Also,
I mean, it worked fairly well.
Yeah.
also like Indiana, like he just like whipped him like around the neck. He shouldn't have like hung himself with that. Like it's just wrapped around his neck. It would have come undone.
Heather, you don't understand. The whip, when he like loops it around something, it's magically secured until
really
he
is.
does a counterclockwise rotation with his wrist. Then it becomes free.
Yeah, it really does just like grappling hook sometimes. It's like, all right, well, I'm wrapped around this thing. I'm like this now. I will hold your weight. I will hold the weight of several people. Unless you do like a little quick twist.
Yeah, it is hilarious to me. There's no less than 3 instances in the movie where he just like whips something and then just full on puts his weight on the whip and then lands on the other side and then just does like a little like Wingardium Leviosa swish and flick, and then it's just it's free now and loops it up and goes. So because he didn't do the switch and flick yet, that's why it stuck to his neck.
Ah, I see.
What I'm impressed by
Logic.
is why they have a 5 horsepower motor for their ceiling fans that can
Yeah.
just suck up a fully grown male adult and just bring him all the way up to the fan.
And then swing him around.
Yeah.
And then Short Round has to get the whip off of him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But then after that, he goes across the hall back into Willie's room, and he's like searching around for an assassin, and he finds a secret door, and he's like, well, I guess the plot's this way. And it is.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that scene was awful. Whoever wrote that scene just decided to take the day off because they wrote nothing. That the scene, no dialogue. At least from Indy. He walks in the room and just starts looking around while Willie's just like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
He explains nothing about how he almost died 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, did Willie ever know there was an assassin?
No, she had
No.
no idea.
Yeah, he never tells her. There's a dead man in the room across the hall from her, and she has no idea.
Yeah.
To be fair, she does freak out over the 2 dead bodies, like, in the secret corridor later, so he probably had, like, a good assumption of, like, she's gonna make a big deal out of
Yeah,
this.
that was after, though.
Yeah,
I know.
and even so, like, he comes in, and she still thinks that they're doing the whole seduction thing, and he's, like, not having it at all. And then, at one point, he's like, it's a weird scene. It's a weird scene, we're gonna move on. But, like,
Yeah.
it's weird that also the plot just happened to be in her room.
Yeah. Which think about that. It's wild that he goes in there looking for an assassin, like, oh, are they trying to kill us? And then he sees a plant, like move in the breeze and goes, ah, yes. There's a secret interest behind these tits. And just pushes the whole wall in.
But not after feeling up that statue.
You
I
see-
mean, that was part of it.
You see, when I said we were gonna move on, I was avoiding this specifically.
Well, too bad. We're talking about it. He did
But-
not need to do that, but he did it anyway.
The most uncomfortable thing was that when he put his hands on the statue there,
Yeah.
Willie just goes, I'm right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she gestures.
But, like, what's just wild is that he goes in there looking for an assassin and then just goes, oh, secret passage, let's go.
And then they just go.
Yeah.
And it's a passage that leads to the titular Temple of Doom. Like,
Yeah, they didn't know that's where it was.
yeah.
They
Also-
didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
They just randomly was like, there's a breeze here. Let's go this way.
He also left Willie there. Like, he just went with Short Round for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Did they ever actually say Temple of Doom in the movie?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Nah, probably not.
Never.
They probably didn't even say the word temple.
No, they definitely said temple.
Well, they did say that it was a temple, but Doom was definitely not ever said. But it's so wild to me that it's like the village randomly goes, hey, these people stole a rock. They go there. He tries to inquire about the rock. They don't tell him anything. They try to assassinate him. And somehow, because of that assassination, he randomly finds the secret passage that takes them to the Temple of Doom. Which, by the way, if the people running this, like, compound, whatever it was, know, like obviously, if they're part of the cult, they know about it. Why would they put one of their room, like one of the people in it, in a room that has direct access to the temple?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, really. Also, the hallway to the temple is like, it has these weird esoteric traps. Like, you go in, there's a door where if you pull the handle, the door explodes and 2 corpses fall out. That's not even a trap. Like, they tripped that one, and it's just like, oh, the door explodes, there's 2 corpses.
Also, that trap can't reset.
Yeah.
It's not like the
just
door
done now.
opens. It's literally exploded.
And then they have a hallway full of bugs. I don't know how the bugs didn't leave that particular section of hallway or what they were eating in there. It's just full of a bunch of different types of bugs. And then after that is like this room with 2 of the hardest to hit traps that they spring like twice.
Which are activated by the same button.
No, there's 2 buttons. There's one on the floor
Oh,
and
that's
one on the
right.
wall.
That's right. He steps on the one.
So it's amazing because the bug hallway, is really just for squeamish people. Like, Indy and Short Round have no problem moving through this hallway. Willie freaks out because it's a hallway full of bugs, and she's a woman in the 80s. Or I guess she's a woman in like the 30s.
I mean,
I'll be honest.
Yeah,
if I were
this
in that,
was
with all the
1935.
cockroaches and stuff, I would not be happy.
I would not have done that. Like,
No, it's a terrible, terrible hallway. Like, the fact that they were like, oh man, something's crunching under my feet, I would be like, yeah, no, don't turn your light on. I don't want to know. The fact that they looked
Yeah.
awful. But, like, they go through this hallway that's not really a trap, it's just uncomfortable. And then they end up in a room where it's like, alright, this room is a big circular room with a door on either end, and all you have to do is not step on this one 3-inch circle on the floor. If you step anywhere else, you're good. This is the only trapped part of the floor. This one circle that Short Round happens to step on. And then, like, it activates the trap, the door closes behind them, and the ceiling starts coming down. Actually, no, the ceiling doesn't even start coming down. It activates the trap that closes them in, and then there's one, like, 6x6 square of wall that pokes out, and Short Round happens to lean on that particular piece of wall, and that activates the, like, dropped ceiling.
with the spikes.
Which, by the way, if you're leaning up against the wall, why in the heck would you pick the one spot that juts out like 8 inches with like this weird 6x6 square? It's like, that's just an uncomfortable spot to lean against.
Yeah, it doesn't... It's a weird, very specific trap, and it's odd that they sent it off twice. Because then the solution for the trap is, hey, you see how this door has a hole in it? Someone on the outside needs to stick their hand in the other hole in the door and pull a lever, and that resets everything. It's weird. It's a weird trapped room. It also doesn't make sense for the temple to have this, because, like, who's going through here? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I have to imagine there's some other way to get into the Temple of Doom.
There was also a lot of dead bodies.
There was
Yeah.
just so many.
Like, there were a lot of people who were trying to make it to the temple that happened to fall for these very specific traps and died.
Yeah. And then on the other side of this is a big red cavern,
Yep.
which leads to a smaller blue cavern, which leads to a spot overlooking, like, the altar and the crowd area, and, like, it's a weird setup. It's a setup that doesn't make any sense aside from the fact that we need the heroes to be here.
Yeah. We need the heroes to be able to come in an area where they can, like, spy and overlook everything without getting caught. Until they are.
And then we get the Kalima scene.
Yeah.
Well, this man just rips out another man's heart. Just
Which, by the way, the
really
effects
simply.
the effects for the heart ripping out.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it's just
interesting.
It's like, oh, he's going into his chest. Cuts to a close up of clearly like a cutting board.
No, this is definitely the guy's chest. Not like a bunch of rubber like stretched over like a flat surface with a hole in it.
It looked like they took a cutting board with a hole in it and just like went, here's some like skin toned
Latex or something.
latex. That's what I was looking. Latex, and it has like some hair on it, some kind of match. But other than that, it looks terrible. And they just kind of like shove his hand through it.
Also, I will say, having never seen this movie before, I knew about the Kalima scene. I didn't know that it was like magic.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, because you only ever see like him shoving his hand in and like pulling out the guy's heart. I just assumed the guy died immediately after that.
Yeah.
So when he pulls his hand out and the hole like reseals, I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, which that looked hilarious.
Yeah, that was also not a great effect, but 80s, we've been over this.
Yeah, no, it's on par.
Yeah. And then like the whole thing is It's an odd ritual. They have their 3 stones that they put on this giant skull thing. They rip the guy's heart out. They drop him into a lava pit, and then he combusts, and his heart combusts, like in the guy's hand still. And they pull the cage out, and it's empty. And it's like, okay, that was cool, I guess. Is Kali down there in the lava? Was that the sacrifice? What's the lava for? Why is there so much lava here?
And why did you have to rip his heart out first?
It's also like it's lava that's going down into a whirlpool.
Yeah,
it's
it's a lava whirlpool. Also, like, the hole they lower him down on, like on the stage, that there's also like a big lava pit in front of the stage. Is that the same lava? What's the hole for? Like, there's a trap door. I have so many questions about this whole setup. Like, it's wild. This is like an ancient temple, and they've got all of this weird, crazy, like, stagecraft and like chains and wiring. There's so much that had to go into the setup of this place.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that statue that literally has like the chain hoist system in the statue.
Yeah, the chains go through the arms.
Yeah, like someone built that. Like they built the chain and then went, let's just build a statue around this.
Gotta make it look cool.
Yeah.
How are we gonna get people to join our cult if we don't look cool?
Apparently they have like mind control blood.
Yeah, that. They said that was like the blood of Kali. They didn't explain that at all.
Yeah, where
Where
the
do
fuck
they
you
get this-
getting that?
Yeah, where'd they get this god blood? It works. They like brainwash Indy with magical god blood that they force him to drink. They have voodoo.
Oh
They have
yeah,
actual
that was
voodoo.
That
never
was weird.
explained.
That was never explained. It's just all right.
It's-
Voodoo.
Just came
Also-
out of nowhere.
How was that linked to him? Like, that doll was linked to him from the get-go, but like, when did they do that? They just show, like, they kidnap him and they go, oh, here's a doll.
The kid did
Stab.
it. The kid just did it in his spare time while he was sitting there watching.
Like, how did he make the doll specific for Indy though?
He made it a little hat. Didn't you see it?
The hat's what did it?
That's all it takes.
Listen.
Here's a generic man. Oh, he wears a hat. Fuck this guy.
He had a very distinct hat,
Okay,
so he made one for the voodoo
listen.
doll.
I think I mentioned this in the last Indiana Jones episode, but in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, there is the character Indiana Joe, who is just a faceless white man with a hat.
Where are you going with this?
My point is that it doesn't need to be specific to be a likeness.
Yeah, Indiana Jones is the hat. It's not the Harrison. It's
Yeah.
not Harrison Ford. It's not the person.
Why do you think?
The hat.
That's why he always goes back for the hat.
Yeah, why
It's
do
not
you-
Indiana Jones without the hat.
That's the joke. He needs the hat. Otherwise, he's just Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford's great, but he's not Indiana Jones.
The hat is a mimic.
So, which also, speaking of the mind control blood, I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but the weakness of the mind control blood is
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, you
Yep.
get burned real quick.
So, why are they like? I don't understand. The sacrifice with the lava and the fire and stuff is good for Kali, the god.
Goddess, technically.
Okay, the goddess.
Yes.
But then it's also the weakness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you only burn them a little, it doesn't work. You have to burn them entirely, and that's sacrifice. If you just burn them a little bit, it breaks the spell.
Also, I don't think the man whose heart they ripped out was under the, like, blood. He was just a sacrifice.
No, I'm gonna be
I'm not
real
talking about
honest. I
him.
could have sworn that was one of their guides.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was one of their guides, like, showing them the way.
Honestly,
Wow,
I
just took us back a few years.
so
I hate you.
Brandon, would you say that?
No,
he
you
knew-
stop. You stop right now.
Heather, we can't continue this.
he
We have to move on.
Jack isn't saying anything because he knows he's just gonna cut this out.
Oh, he's absolutely gonna cut this out.
Cut you. Anyway,
But yeah, I don't think the people they're sacrificing
Whew.
are under the like influence of the blood. They're just
No, they're
people
just-
they found to use as a sacrifice.
honestly, I think it was a nice subversion that like the power of love wasn't what broke the spell.
Yeah,
I
It was
really
the
thought-
power of fire.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be like, all right, she begs Indy and like that's what snaps him out of it or something. But no, it doesn't.
It's literally
Although-
just get burned.
Yeah. Although it was kind of weird that she like spit in his face and he was still under spell. Like he wipes off and like smiles at it. I'm like, what's happening here? What's the thought process?
what's going on? Andy, did you just figure something out there?
He figured out something about himself.
No.
All right, moving on. Okay, this is definitely jumping forward like quite a bit, but you mentioned that this movie is a prequel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't it like a whole thing like in the first Indiana Jones that he's not religious and doesn't believe that like any of the gods are real? But in this movie, he invokes the name of Shiva and like does magic stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how all the movies are. He's like, either he doesn't believe or he's just like, yeah, he doesn't care. But like, every single movie is proving that gods and magic exist and are real things with consequences. And then he just kind of ignores it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in it, it can't hurt you until it does.
Then you're screwed.
Unless you're Indiana Jones.
Then you have plot armor.
I will also say another thing that's kind of an issue with the timeline is that they make a callback to the like swords and gun scene
Oh
from the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
movie, but that hasn't happened yet. So his like the two guys show up, they slash their swords around. He reaches for his gun, remembers it's gone, and then he kind of smiles at the camera like, I was gonna do the thing, you guys know, but he doesn't know that didn't happen yet.
He's probably done that on multiple occasions.
I mean, maybe you can say that, but like when he does it in the first movie, he doesn't make a big deal out of it. He's just like, okay, I'm too tired for this. Boom. This is
Yeah.
him directly making a joke about it. It's a callback, which is really a call forward, which doesn't make any sense. I just really like that they left, like, after the first sacrifice, everyone's like, alright, good job, everybody, and they just leave.
Yeah.
But they also leave all the stones there. Like, these are the three... There's 5 of these sacred stones. They finally got 3 of them. And then they just leave them in the room, and everyone leaves. Like, everyone just walks away.
That's the after service cleanup crew's job.
You gotta leave the stones to get all the spiritual energy from the burning of the dude.
I guess.
Yeah, the after service cleanup crew is the ones that put the chairs away and
But
There were no
put the
chairs.
and they have
stones
like
away.
they've got a competition to see who can grab like as like the most stones to like put away. You're only supposed to have 1 per person, but like sometimes like if they're really lucky they can get 2.
You guys are like referencing some very specific memories that only you two have.
We're referencing just like when you're putting stuff away at the end of a church service.
No,
like-
I got that.
And like
I'm
all
just saying,
all the kids like see how many chairs they can pick up.
this is very specific.
It's very specific to like any person who's gone to a church service.
That has moving... Like, does your church not have pews?
No.
Okay, well, mine did, see?
Anyway,
Moving on.
so they
Your
just like
experiences are not universal.
so they just like dip after the service. Like after this ritual, they're just like, all right, see you next Tuesday.
See ya. Wait till we find another sacrifice.
Or another stone, I
Turns
guess.
out to be 2 hours later.
And then Indy just magic whips his way over across the chasm and then just goes, I'm going to start collecting these stones now.
Yeah. I still think it would have been hilarious if, like, he came back with a stone and the village was like, that's not our stone. That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one, dude.
Can you get one of the other? That's not ours. I don't know. Take it somewhere else. You can't just put it on our altar. That's not our stone.
Yeah, but so he gets the stones, right? He gets all 3 of them, and then he hears like screaming from like I guess the kids being tortured. I think is what it was.
Yeah, it's the kids mining deeper in the cave.
And he's like, I could just go, and then it'd be wild to see where the movie went from there. But
He just leaves. He leaves with his 2 friends. They're never caught. He returns to the village. The village is like, hey, you've healed everything by keeping the stones from being used by evil, but our kids are still gone. He's like, yeah, I guess I forgot about that. Anyway, I'm off to Delhi now.
yeah, so he makes a choice. He's like, I'm gonna go save these kids. And he just walks through the smoke, and he's just gone. And then there's a jump scare for no reason.
Yep.
It's a thriller. They got to thrill you.
To be honest, I
mean,
did not realize this movie was a thriller.
I mean, it's an action adventure.
Yeah, like
It has some thrills.
Like, it didn't get me or anything, but it's still just like, why? That was so unnecessary. They just cut back to Willie and Short Round, just kind of watching Indy walk through the smoke, and then, boop, hello! And then they're just surrounded, and then they get captured. And then proceeds the longest escape.
Yeah, the last third of the movie is just a big chase scene.
Yeah. After they make Indy drink the blood and,
Oh, yeah, that's
Willie
right.
almost gets sacrificed. Short Round burns Indy
after getting bitch slapped.
after getting bitch slapped.
Indy smacks
Oh, yeah.
the shit out of him. It is a solid backhand.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I don't think I mentioned yet the fight choreography in this movie. I found absolutely hilarious
Oh, it
in
was
just
so
how
good.
bad it was. Anytime someone got hit, it was either they reacted the wrong way, or they completely over exaggerate the hit to just hyperbolic levels.
like Short Round hitting and knocking back 3 grown
Yeah,
Yeah.
Short Round takes on like a platoon of adult men and is just like single-handedly taking down each one. At some point in this movie, he learned martial arts. He
Yeah.
didn't have that in the beginning of the fight, and then later he's doing like spin kicks and shit. Like,
Yeah, he's like over here with a pipe, and like 3 adult men run up on him. He just kind of like gut hits the first one, and they just kind of all topple over. Like, how hard you hit that man? Yeah, fight choreography in this movie, hilariously bad.
I think mostly it's just the over-exaggeration. The only really bad one was when Willie slapped Indy after he saved her and she thought he was still like possessed or hypnotized.
Yeah.
Because that one has a really heavy punch sound effect, and he like reacts the wrong way.
It was.
That's the only really.
I'd
bad
say it was
one.
closer to a almost like a whip sound effect than even a punch. Like it was like a thwap.
It was like a.
Yeah, it was the wrong sound effect.
Yeah.
For
was,
sure.
It was absolutely the wrong sound effect.
And also, he reacted like a weird way. It was like he got slapped, but he moved in the other direction.
It didn't work.
Yeah, it was a real bad take, and they just kind of went, that's good enough.
We have a chase scene film.
Yeah, where they spend half of a third of the movie, so a sixth of the movie, just in one rail cart.
What I want to know is who's making all of these like roller coaster mine carts?
Yeah, where are we, Minecraft?
So here's the thing. The thing is, like, some of the like first roller coasters were literally just like men in coal mines riding the carts. Because it makes logistic sense for you to be able to just fill a cart with coal and then push it so it gets to where it needs to go.
Yeah,
And then eventually miners would get drunk and be at the end of their shift and be like, let's sit in this one.
I'm just saying it's weird that they add all these like hills and like.
Well, I mean, if the cart needs to go a long distance. That's how
Yeah.
you get momentum back, is you go downhill.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
they need to do that. So it's like, okay, go up. All right, go down, and now it's going to go farther.
Well,
These
you
are
don't
some-
make it go up.
Yeah, also, these are some real steep drops.
Yeah.
Like, you're losing a lot of coal.
They gotta deal with the just natural curves of the cave.
Yeah, but there were specific times where they built out like scaffolding for these rails to be like specifically way up or way lower than the cave that they're going through.
Also, at one point, they were going over, like, a river of lava.
Yeah.
Why is there so much lava in India? They weren't even that deep down.
Lava, man. It's everywhere.
Also, it doesn't make sense for this minecart to be, like, not a thing people regularly rode in, because there were several sections where if they were not on the brakes, they would have just come off the track.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. But the more mass, the more like speed you get because of kinetic energy and
So would it?
yeah,
make
so
it
if you
easier for
loaded
them to
that thing
derail?
full of coal
Yeah, it would derail on that first left.
and just dump all of it into the lava.
It makes sense for a movie. It doesn't make sense as a place where people are mining things regularly. Like, also, this track just ends at a dead end that leads to a cliff face.
Yeah.
Like, they get out of the cart, they run down, like, the walkway, like the cave walkway, and then it leads to a sheer cliff with no walkway on either side. It's
To
just,
be fair, they did
ends.
go down the wrong tunnel.
yeah.
Yeah.
First they went down the wrong tunnel, and then at the very end he did say he was taking a shortcut.
That had like the "Don't go this way,
Yeah.
you will die" signs.
Yeah.
I really want to know what made him think that was a shortcut.
Who knows?
Yeah. Also, don't forget about and I think this is before the signs, like the section where they just kind of there's just a big gap over a
Yeah.
chasm.
Oh yeah, there's a
and they
jump.
just
There was
leap off and land on the
That's
other
why
side.
they needed to take the left tunnel.
Yeah,
doesn't
there was
have a
no
jump in
signs
it.
before that though.
Yeah, it probably recently happened.
Oh yeah, recently just had an entire section just blow out. Yeah, that whole minecart scene was very long, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of tired watching this. Started falling asleep a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you don't miss too much during the
Yeah.
like 45-minute chase scene.
Yeah, at that point, they've mostly finished with the plot. They're just doing adventure stuff now. They're just having a nice little action showcase.
I will say, it made it a little comedic when I kind of dozed off for a second, and I woke up and they're like getting towards the end, and like he's using his foot as a brake,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I guess they lost their brakes, and they get out, and he goes, and he looks down, and his shoes like catching on fire, and he's like shouting for water. And all of a sudden he looks up, and then there's just a wall
Yeah.
of water, and I was so confused because I guess I slept through the scene where they like knock down the water tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was so funny to me that he's just like water, water, and then there's water.
Listen. He invoked its name,
Yeah.
and it came after him.
That's a thing that they set up for later.
But yeah, after the whole chase scene, you get like the bridge scene, which is kind of iconic, you know, where he
Yeah.
cuts the bridge and they have to start climbing up and whatever.
Which is hilarious that he just like he's like holding the sword over the rope for like 3 minutes while
Yeah.
he's trying to communicate to Short Round and Willie, like, hey, make sure you're holding on. And meanwhile he's just holding this sword over the rope, right? Everyone's kind of slowly inching closer towards him, and then when they finally kind of get the idea, he's like, all right, and he swings up, and at that point they realize, like, oh no, he's gonna cut through. Like, what have you been thinking he's gonna do for the last 5 minutes?
I thought he was bluffing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then it was hilarious because he like hits it with the sword and nothing happens.
Yeah, it just bounces off.
He hits it the first couple of times and nothing happens. And then all of a sudden it just like hits it one more time and then it splits and then he hits it the final time and it goes from doing nothing to, oh, it's halfway gone to, oh, the entire bridge is now simultaneously cut.
Yeah. Just gets split right in two.
That's a load-bearing rope.
I do like the random jump cuts to the I don't know if they're alligators or crocodiles. I think they're alligators.
I didn't get a good look at him.
But it's just random jump cuts to the to the alligators with just like clothes and
it's
meat.
like the same like 2 or 3 shots of them like chomping at clothing and meat, and one of them doing like a death spin. It's like, okay, well, cool, good.
And they just keep showing the same clip after every single person who falls in the water. It's just a
Yep.
bloop, more alligators, and then back to the scene.
Just everybody's eaten by alligators.
Everyone who wasn't shot by the military.
Yeah.
Oh, also, can we please talk about the sound design of when the main villain falls off and
He just bonks his head.
he hits his
against
head
the
on the
cliff.
wall and it sounds hollow.
It sounds like a coconut.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Like, who was in charge of the sound? Like, you've got the weird sound effect for the slap, you've got coconut head, and there's like a couple animal noises that were just like the laser owl.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Whoever was the sound designer was either like having a real good time or just had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah. Before we finish up, who's ready to play? Guess the user review with the HQ crew.
Ooh,
Oh, you have a
boy.
name for it now.
I had a name for it last time that everyone hated.
This
What?
I don't think you were here for that
No,
one.
I wasn't. What was
This one's
it?
a little bit better, but it is still kind of long.
It was Guess the user review with HQ movie review, but they made fun of me for rhyming review with review.
As rightfully so, I think.
Yeah.
Listen, let's get into this.
Fun.
The first one,
Ooh.
An Abode of Evil.
Ooh.
I don't think abode is really like a synonym for temple, but okay.
Well, it's an area.
I don't think evil is a synonym for doom. Like, they're related, but
I get it's. Can I rate this title?
sure.
I'll give it a 6.
Okay. What do you think they rated the movie based on that?
Based on just that title,
Yes.
I don't know, like an 8.
I was gonna say 8.
You can say 8. You can
I don't
tie.
know.
I'll say 9.
I still don't trust your judgment, Josh.
Hey, I won last time.
Yeah, to everyone's shame. Actually, we're supposed to not play this game anymore. Josh won. That's the end of it. Game's over.
It's
I'm not
between-
letting this die.
Let the past die, Brandon. Kill it if you must. You're still holding on. Let go.
Jack, do you have a guess?
I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Well, Heather got it right. It's 9 out of 10.
Hey.
They just talk about general plot points and how it was a good Indiana Jones movie.
Was it though?
Yeah,
It's not the worst Indiana Jones movie.
it's not
It
terrible.
definitely wasn't the worst, for sure.
1 point to Heather. Surprise, surprise. This next one, appetite suppressing action.
Uh-huh.
What? It's action that makes you not hungry.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Just says appetite suppressing action.
Are they praising it for helping them on their diet?
I'm gonna. I don't know.
I'm going to go middle of the road on this. I'm going to say 5.
4.
6. 6.
God damn. Why?
Jack is playing the numbers game.
I'm gonna pick a number and y'all just gonna be like, I'm gonna go one above and one below.
Honestly, I was just feeling 6 on this one.
Well, God damn it, Heather, you got it again. Give it a 4 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
She was exact.
You
Right
were
on the
exactly
nose.
correct on both of these.
What?
Man,
Well, I'm exactly one off.
you're really connecting with these random IMDb users.
I guess. Man,
They,
if this was actually 2 out of 3, I would have won, but it's not because Brandon likes to fudge the rules.
listen, it's out of 4 because the tiebreaker is fun. This person obviously just didn't like the movie. They were absurdly put off by the scene of them eating like bugs and brains and shit,
I mean, that was a little
which is
off-putting.
Yeah.
why they titled it this. But like, they just
Did they eat bugs? I thought they just ate the brains.
no, they ate
beetles.
bugs.
Did you sleep through the
They ate a
beetle?
beetle.
I might have.
But yeah, they like 3 of the 5 paragraphs they wrote were about how gross it was to see them eating bugs.
They wrote a whole like standardized essay.
So
Wow.
yeah, Heather has 2 for 2.
Does every paragraph have 5 sentences?
No, they were relatively long. The next user review. A trifle overblown but decent follow-up to a brilliant movie.
Sounds
you guys
so
got to
middle-
go first.
That sounds so middle of the road, though.
6.
5.
7.
See, this is just becoming a numbers game at this point, and that's not fun. Give your reasonings.
I also thought it was somewhere in the middle road, but I absolutely just wanted 7 to be one above Heather.
No, I thought they said decent, so I was like, okay, so it's like gonna be a middle of the ground score, but it's like implied to be like better than just like 5, so I was like probably 6 or 7, but I went 6.
Yeah, the fact that they called it like overblown, I was like, all right, they don't really think much of this, but they thought it was an okay follow up. So I think 6 is right around like it's middle of the road, but still a little bit more positive than a 5.
Yeah, I was thinking actually 6.5 when I first went in. And I went,
Well,
no,
you
I'm
can't
gonna wait.
guess halves.
I know.
Heather,
No!
Josh got it exactly correct.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's even worse.
Oh my god! I was like, I swear, if I got 3 of them exactly right, I'm gonna be so upset.
Well, then we didn't have to do the
I also
tiebreaker.
would have been upset. No, we would have done the 4th one. At this point, it's 4, and then there's the tiebreaker.
Alright, so it's
Um,
2 to 1 and 0.
yeah, Heather has 2, Josh has 1, Jack has 0.
Listen, there's no prize for this game. I don't care.
There's really not.
This person thought it was a good movie. They pointed out that the writing for Willie is atrocious.
It
Like
is.
her character is just a badly written character. But they like the cinematography and action that happens with Indiana Jones movies. So 7 out of 10.
That's fair.
The weird thing is this person's username is the little songbird, but they put their like actual name at the end of the review.
Huh.
They signed it.
Yeah, like they
That's
have
fun.
all their comments, and then at the end of the review, they wrote out 7 out of 10, and then put their name. So that's nice.
It's like when old people write text messages, but they sign them like emails.
Oh, that's weird.
Remember back when signatures and text messages were a thing?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did they think that was a good idea?
Because it was like emails.
Yeah.
The final user review.
Hmm.
The Indiana Jones film to avoid.
4.
You're getting in there quick.
3.
I'm gonna go straight 1.
Okay.
Okay.
No discussion at all.
No.
Straight into the numbers.
That
Josh
to me,
is trying to tie up.
That to me sounds like you hated this. You hated everything about it.
Yeah.
3 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
Heather guessed 3 out of the 4 exactly correct.
No.
And you were only 1 off on the other one.
I was one off on all of them.
That really sucks.
Oh no.
Like, you know how sometimes you see those pictures online of someone who's 1 off on every Powerball number?
Yeah.
Oh.
Real unlucky.
Ooh.
Yeah, they just thought it was a bad movie compared to Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
Yeah,
comparing
that's
it to
fair.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Heather wins this one. We don't have to go to the tiebreaker.
Nope.
You sound disappointed.
I am disappointed. Do you guys want to guess it anyways?
Sure.
Everyone can do it. Jack, you're involved in this too.
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
He's
look,
like,
that's never stopped me when I was nowhere. I wasn't even in the running.
You probably should have.
So just extra consolation point to whoever guesses the overall rating of the movie out of 10.
8.6.
All right.
There are 472,000 ratings.
7.4.
I'll one up you. 7.5.
Fuck you, Heather.
Did you get it?
Yes, she got it exactly right.
Heather, did you cheat?
Josh, when I heard you say 7 point, I was like, oh shit, he got it. And then you said 4, I'm like, damn, he's a 10th off.
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I did look that one up.
You jerk.
To be fair, during the movie, I Googled it, and the rating shows up on Google.
Yeah,
So I knew that one.
The game is rigged.
hang on. Since you cheated,
Oh no, I just.
guess the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh fuck.
Those are percentages,
That's a
right?
percentage out of 100.
75?
Wait, hang on. Is this the audience or the
Yes.
critic?
I don't know. It just says Rotten Tomatoes. Let me check. It's the tomato meter, not the audience score.
Okay.
Okay.
69 reviews.
Nice.
63.
Josh, you want to get on this?
74.
It was 84. Jack, you were the closest.
Wait, really?
Yeah, 84% on the tomato meter. That's critic score. So
Okay,
yeah.
critic
No.
score.
audience score was 81% though, so Jack still would have been
Dang.
correct.
Nice.
It's an Indiana Jones movie. People
Well,
are
yeah,
gonna
but
like it.
critically, this movie is just a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But it's an Indiana Jones clusterfuck.
It was an 80s movie clusterfuck. Which helps.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's been Guess the User Review with the HQ crew. Back to you, Jack.
What?
Thanks, Brandon. Next up, sports. What?
Is this the news?
Listen, we all know Jack runs this podcast.
He has been in every episode.
If you just want to say it like it's, if you want to just put it out there like that.
You are the main character of this show, Jack. There is no denying it.
Well, there's no pressure.
You just can't ever get sick or go out of town without us having a backlog. You have to be in every episode now.
Well, anyway. Did we have any final thoughts on the movie?
No.
None.
Just all right.
None at all.
Boom, done. We're
Heather wins the game show and she's like, I want to go to bed. We're
Bruh,
done.
I am so tired.
wallow. Okay then.
It's past midnight, Josh. I want to go to bed.
Well, way to date the episode.
That's timing the episode.
And on that note,
Check us out on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts.
also YouTube.
We got a Facebook, all that stuff. Yeah.
Fun.
This has been Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jack.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Heather.
Good night, everybody.
Grail, you cheat everything.